Today is Thursday, June 16th, 2022, and I don't know where I am. I'm parked on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere, and I'm not even sure this is still Louisiana. I haven't had a bar of service all day. I've been driving for 9 hours, and the only thing I want to do is sleep. But I'm afraid to close my eyes. Staring at this screen is only making it worse. But I need a distraction. None of this makes sense. My house is a 30-minute drive to town if you take the highway, but in any other direction, you can ride the back roads for hours. Most aren't even on the map. When I was younger, Mom would take me riding on summer evenings, and we always found new routes to explore. That's also how I learned to drive. And after getting my license, I started going more often. Sometimes I would bring friends, but for the most part, it's something I enjoy doing alone. Especially after Mom died. She was killed by a drunk driver 6 years ago. I've never seen a house or more than a handful of other vehicles out here. It's perfect for camping. I have stayed overnight more times than I can count, and always felt perfectly safe. It's almost like being the only person in the world. The only difference with this trip was that damn tunnel. Life has been hard lately, and only having one job on the books doesn't help. There was nothing on this wedding's menu that could be cooked the day before, so instead of doing anything productive, I convinced myself to go for a drive, which was clearly a mistake. There is a beautiful, crystal clear pond that became my go-to place for quick trips or days I brought someone along. It's not very far, and I know every road in between, or thought I did. Leaving the pond, there should only be 2 ways to go, back home or further into nowhere. But then I said a third option while turning the truck around. I found myself staring at a paved road hidden behind the tree line. While it's understandable to miss when driving past, I've been to that pond 1,000 times and always turn around in the same place. This shouldn't have been my first time seeing it, but I was too excited to think more of it. A closer look revealed only shrubs and weeds blocking the way, so I decided to drive straight through. A new path so close to home was too big of a deal to pass up. Of course, that feels incredibly ignorant to say now. I got through the brush easily, and after a mile it cleared up again. But 6 miles after that, I knew it was time to turn back. That's when I finally saw the end of the road. Ahead was an overpass with what looked like old train tracks. And what I thought was a dead end was actually a tunnel running beneath it. At first, it looked too small to drive through. I only wanted to get my headlights close enough to see inside. But then the road did keep going. I could see daylight at the other end. The tunnel itself was damp, and the air smelled musty, but it was completely empty. When I came out of the other side, the road stretched ahead for miles with occasional turn-offs on both sides. It should have been impossible to get lost by going straight. I should have been able to turn around at any point and drive directly back to the pond. Still don't understand why that isn't the case. I had hoped to find a landmark to use on the next visit, but after an hour of nothing but random cutoffs, I realized how late it was and finally turned back. Everything looked exactly the same as far as I could tell. I've no clue where I went wrong, but an hour and a half later, I was still cruising with no sign of that tunnel. If anything, I was driving even faster than before. It doesn't make any damn sense. I drove for another 30 minutes before stopping completely. I had to pee and needed time to think without wondering if I was headed even further away from home. If I had made even a single turn, I could believe being lost, but the idea of turning back after driving in a straight line felt unnatural. It would mean hours of retracing my steps only to turn around again. When that didn't work, how many hours would be wasted covering the same ground? But then, there is no choice because something is obviously wrong. It's maddening. I'm still stuck in that hellish thought loop, but I couldn't just stay on the side of the road. In the end, I turned around once again, this time going much, much slower. The only way I could imagine getting lost was if the road had a split somewhere when I wasn't paying attention. I came to a rolling stop at every turnoff and even got out a few times, but there was absolutely no chance I merged off any of them. By the time I made it back to my original stopping point, the sun was starting to set, and my brain fed me whatever I needed to hear to avoid turning back a third time. I figured Mom and I had only been able to spend so much time on the back roads because we took the small, curvy trails that never really led anywhere. Now I was traveling in a straight line. It had to lead somewhere. All I needed to do was make it to the next town, or maybe not even that far if I could find a spot with cell service. But now it's almost midnight, and I stopped because the road suddenly ended, or at least the pavement did. There is nothing but a long, dusty trail left, and there is no chance of finding a signal that way. I need to wait for morning and check out some of the cutoffs. Nothing about this. Friday. I wonder if I have been reported as missing. I'm sure I have. How could I not be? Surely, the back roads are the first place they'll look, right? I'm sure it is. Sweet fire shits. I thought I was going to die last night. I was lying across the back seat, writing, when I heard something moving around in the forest. I assumed it was an animal until it broke through the tree line, and the unmistakable sound of his shoes scraping against concrete made me drop the phone. There was a half-second of euphoric relief as I imagined myself being rescued by a kindly old farmer before my body went numb with dread. People volunteering with third parties didn't wander through the woods alone at night without flashlights. This person hadn't driven there either. I would have heard an engine.